Okay, good afternoon, students. Today we're going to talk about comparatives and superlatives. Now you might wonder, what is comparative, what is superlative? And it's a very good question. In English, we do need to understand what these terms are and what the words that we use when we compare things. So, first of all, comparative and superlative adjectives, that's really what we are talking about. Now, comparatives, let me just explain. Comparatives, let's start about those, right? Comparative adjectives are words like, first of all, you have adjectives. Let's start like that. Adjectives, okay, such as what? Big, small, beautiful, and so on, okay? So these are adjectives, big, small, beautiful. So you use comparative adjectives to compare two things or two people, right? Or two countries. So to compare two things or two people or two of anything. Okay, so you could say she is taller than her sister. Okay, taller. So we use the adjective tall and we added ER. Now many comparative adjectives that are one syllable, like tall, short, big, and so on, the ending will be the same. ER, taller, right? Taller. She is shorter, she is taller. But when you have big adjectives or many multisyllable adjectives like beautiful, you cannot say beautifuler. You must add more. So you could say she is more beautiful than her mother, right? She is more beautiful than her mother. Okay? She is more beautiful than her mother. But then what are superlative adjectives? So superlative adjectives, if I can just erase a little bit for you. Are the extreme form of comparison. And I'll explain what I mean. Extreme form of comparison. In other words, you're not comparing two things. You're comparing an infinite or unlimited number of things. You could say, this building is the most beautiful building in Bangkok, right? So with long syllable adjectives like beautiful, okay, you could say the building is, and you say the most beautiful building, but you have to say, you have to give it a context where in Bangkok, right? Okay, so that is a multisyllable adjective. Remember I said it's a very long adjective. But when you have the smaller adjectives, we call them regular adjectives, like big, like I said, small. We don't have to use the same form. We will use something like, for example, the woman was smaller, sorry, the woman was the smallest, EST ending, see, EST, person in the room, okay? Or you could say, to give you another example of another superlative with a short adjective, I use small, you could say the man was the tallest, adjective is tall, and put EST. Remember, the, and then EST, tallest man in his family. Okay? The man was the tallest man. So you can see that for both comparatives and superlatives, you have certain ways of making the endings. I said that for multisyllable adjectives, the superlative would be most beautiful. But for smaller syllable or one-syllable adjectives, you could just add EST and you put the in the first, or the before the superlative. So you would say the woman was the smallest person in the room. The man was the tallest man in the family. Now there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that's what I call irregular superlatives, okay? Irregular superlatives. And why are they called irregular? Because superlatives. Why are they called irregular? Because the regular superlatives are like words like tall, small, short. You add EST, right? And put the tallest, the smallest. But what about irregular words? And I've got this here on the computer. And maybe it'll be easier to understand if you have a list of them. If not, but I'll put this list on the board here. So if you have the adjective bad, okay, so the comparative would be worse. Okay, so in other words, you have certain adjectives where the comparative and the superlative is not just changing the ending. You cannot just put badder, there's no such word. You have to change the whole word. Look at bad, and then the comparative becomes worse, and then the superlative becomes worst. It's the worst pollution in the world. Or here's another one. Here I have. Then you have good, and then you have many. Okay, good. Better is the comparative. Best is the superlative. How about, what did I say here? I have many, okay? There are many people, and then you compare, there are many people in this room. Comparative, there are more people in the room today than there were yesterday. More is a comparative. And then most, you could say the big room has the most number of people in the building. The big room has the most number of people in the building. So that's the superlative. So today we've covered what? We've covered comparatives, comparing two people or two things. We've talked about superlatives, which is comparing an unlimited number of things or people. And then we've talked about regular adjectives, irregular comparatives, and irregular adjectives, irregular comparatives, irregular superlatives. These are irregular ones. I hope you've learned something. It was my pleasure to teach you. Thank you.